Hello everyone. I hope you all are having a good night out there, good morning, evening, whatever it is around here. We are here for the revised round 1 of the Simufur GT3 series season 6. Now, before we get to talking about the race cars on track, I do want to explain why this is our new round 1, and that's because last week there were there were technical issues on the server end which caused the results to be, let's say, invalid. So now Red Bull Ring has been pushed to the finale of the season, and now our real round 1 here is taking place here in Valencia. Anyways, while the Red Bull race last week was void, it still provided us with a great insight into how these guys will perform. We saw Cerebine last week with that incredible dive for the win here. He's looking to be one of the favorites out here. So is Kestrel, who has been recently promoted to the pro class. And maybe, if I'm correct, from what we've seen in the practice server earlier from these guys, Azure might be one of the favorites. What do you think, Nick?
Looking at practice out of the sessions that we've seen this time around, as well as just on track, we might see faster lap times as well. We saw Azure cracking into the 30.8s, but we know for a fact the likes of Castrol, actually no, Azure cracking the 30.8s. We know that Castrol, as well as some of you, as well as Cerebrine, are winner last time around, even though it's voided, going well below 30.8. So we definitely have a lot more room to do faster laps, but it's at the end of the day, Valencia, how tight the tracks are, track limits, even though some corners are lenient, some are extremely strict. And when that happens, you want to make sure that you want to minimize errors as much as possible. And I think at the end of the day, it's more about a game of who doesn't get it drive through this time around. Because even last time that we were racing here in that was like it's a couple of years ago, actually a year ago. Last time I remember driving here in the Silver Champ, we had drivers basically either getting a drive through, or the fact that you might get a at least 3 warnings, which is basically on your last warning before you get drive through. So drivers need to be very careful here just to get any sort of headroom. Any advantage counts. So some people might just use the track height warnings as a kind of advantage, especially when you're doing side by side warning, because they don't really care if you're side by side or not. When you exceed the track limits, you will get a penalty. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these drivers behave here as we have 3 minutes remaining into the practice session.
That's right, Red Bull Ring is an entirely different track to what we have right now. Valencia is more of a bike circuit than a car circuit. It's more technical, very long sweeping corners and such. Contrasting to Red Bull Ring, which is mostly your famous straight lines coming from turns 1 to 3, etc. So it's going to be an interesting way to see how these drivers fare in such conditions, but for the most part, everything is still looking similar with Kestrel so far. The graphics aren't showing the right driver, but it's Kestrel with the fastest time at the moment in the Lexus. So we'll still see our usual favorites fighting for the lead. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that entails. But yeah, looking back, as you're saying as well, as you said, the car track definitely very different. Valencia itself, a very flat track. Actually, if you're making setups here, looking at Motec data as well, you'll be having a hard time understanding dampers, as well as the entire graph itself, because of how flat the track is. You're not used to seeing all the undulations that you're expected to see. You're gonna see that some cars will prefer a very stiff setup, some cars prefer a bit of compliance. You definitely need more compliance, especially in the very fast right-hander uphill into turn 12, where some drivers you'll see some of the drivers here able to just take the sausage curb, especially the likes of a Mustang, Sarah Bryan's Nissan GTR, maybe Castrol's Lexus. You see them basically eat the sausage curb as much as you can, or some would prefer to take the very big jump when they cross over to the alternate track layout at turn 12 on an exit. So it's really up to everyone's possibility to see what these drivers are able to see as they see here coming down to turn 12. So these are the drivers, the setups, how the drivers work around these kind of challenges. You'll see them basically gain a couple of tenths, as we see here as who's that? That is a P9 of Swingley in the Aston Martin going wide there. I'm sorry for a little bit of an issue on the timing board itself. We're trying to figure that part out. Maybe you have to give it a reset or something. But for now, we have you see drivers just trying to get themselves accommodated on track before the very last moments before practice ends.
Yeah, that's right. And so far, Kestrel dominating the timing sheets so far. Actually, 1/10 faster than Zezor's. Both Kestrel and Zezor's actually now both 5/10 fast, 4/10 actually faster than Taiti. So very competitive scene we have here. And as you mentioned, the GT3 cars, they are a very diverse set of cars. They have front engine cars, they have mid engine cars. You have the, the 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 grid is just very diverse. Like you have to set up each car differently according to their appropriate handling characteristics, their their design philosophies, etc. So it's really an interesting challenge to set these cars up right, to set an optimal lap time with how different these cars are. You can't have the same setup won't work for any car for different cars. So each setup from these guys are pretty different from each other, let's say the least.
Yeah, definitely. It's also just outright down to the driver as well. Given my role in my team for Cabal Esports, Sim Sports, we have different drivers driving the same car, but each of them will have a different setup preference. Some will prefer the meta setups of extreme dampers, as we usually see in esports setups, where you have people just min-maxing dampers. Some will prefer a more natural, relaxed feeling of a car, which usually we do to make sure that the cars are compliant on certain parts of the corner, especially on the exit of turn 12 itself. So it's going to be interesting to see how you're basically able to see how these cars react by just how they take curves. Some of the drivers will not want to avoid turn 12 like the plague. They want and nowhere close to the apexes on those on the apex as well as the exit of turn 12. Some will just eat them like it's nothing because that's what they want to do. And we're gonna see some drivers might catch up catch up to some on certain corners, might just get away on some just because of their characteristics. And if Valencia, just so many different corners here, it's going to be interesting to see how they behave as we slowly go into qualifying, as we slowly get ourselves sorted out. We're going to start to see the AM drivers go out first in this 30-minute qualifying session as we get ready. AM drivers going to be out for 10 minutes before we get into the silver class for the next 10 minutes before we get into the pro class doing qualifying for the last 10 minutes. And it's going to be interesting to see how the AMs go out. Last time around, we had the likes of Juan V being strong on the M class, even though we are unable to see it properly around last time around. But will we have a new M class leader this time around? We'll have to see. We have the likes of Juan V, Cass, Wolfin, JPEG Swap, Dirk, also as Rico, and Jim Wolf, our M drivers this time around coming out into qualifying. We'll get you the views in a sec, but for now, who do you think is your favorites this time around to get the podium for qualifying for M class?
I mean, from what I've seen in the Red Bull Ring, I think 1V is one of the favorites here in coming into Valencia. While we didn't know which class was which, 1V was one of the guys that was in the at least the top half of the whole grid. So that's it. To say the least, that's pretty much around the leading AM class grid. So 1V looking like one of the favorites, but I'm sure that one of the Blue E drivers might strike a challenge. Dirk, for example, while they are struggling, they do have the potential to take the fight to the lead in terms of the AM class here in Simufur.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Blue E has a couple of drivers here, the likes of Dirk, Jin, as well as Wolfin. You have three drivers here, so definitely a lot of places to be able to hold out the M class round. You have Casp as well as one of the Blue E Academy drivers as we're back here for qualifying. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers are out. We still have not seen a driver set a lap time around here, as we see here. That's that Lappy coming out for a lap in the 87 Mustang. So hopefully we'll get to see all the drivers slowly get a lap time. But for now the M drivers have done a lap and we have already passed 3 minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see where these drivers end up in this grid.
That is indeed a pretty interesting scenario there because these AM drivers not yet setting a lap. Maybe they're taking the time, maybe they're just having trouble, but Valencia, very tricky track, especially if you're starting out on sim racing. So it's going to be very difficult for some of the AM drivers to navigate this track. Some of them are just wanting to get the optimal tire temps, maybe. But overall, there this is the challenge that Valencia is offering. The technical, very tight corners. It's easy to breach track limits as well. So it's really obviously it's very easy to invalidate a lap time. So you do not want that to happen in qualifying. You want to set the optimal lap without breaching track limits here. And in a track like Valencia, that's a tough ask.
Yeah, it's definitely a very tough ask, as we see, you know, even you can see how tough, how much of a tough ask, as we only see Huang V right now saying a 133.3, the first of the M drivers saying a lap time in this qualifying session. So definitely a lot more for the drivers to catch up. Definitely, you know, it's not the end of the world. We still have a lot more time here to do it, but definitely it's gonna be interesting to see if we get even any other drivers to set a lap time, as we do. The timing issues are starting to show up, and hopefully you get all the M drivers to set a lap time here.
So far, it's the Argentine for Cabal Sim Sports on the provisional AM class poll by huge margins. 8/10 faster than Wolf and Foxdale, actually. The second best qualifying AM so far. Not a lot of these guys have set a lap time yet. We're expecting to see the likes of Lappy, Dirk, and maybe some of the other drivers set a valid lap time to set themselves in the top. But so far, Juanvi is off to a great start right now.
Yeah, and speaking of the M drivers, I want to highlight one person as well, JPEG. JPEG recently has unfortunately got into an accident, which they had to require some surgery to get stuff fixed for the hands. But glad to see them being on track here. Very nice to see them, you know, still going strong in this hobby as well. And I hope JPEG gets a very good run here, especially in the SMR. And JPEG, usually a Porsche driver, but recently, given that they've been driving with Blade Wolf, has basically been going at it in the SMRN, and they seem to be really enjoying it. So hopefully JPEG is able to just hold strong for this race, being able to set good lap times, and, you know, just stay alive. At the end of the day, outside of qualifying, you still have to finish the race. And, you know, I'm still glad that JPEG, even though with the struggles they have been having recently, still going strong here in qualifying.
I mean, yeah, it's great to see JPEG make it in the first place. I remember weeks back when we had the iRacing series race at Road Atlanta. They were fresh from that injury. They were essentially racing with one hand, basically like Robert Kubica. And yeah, it's very brave effort from JPEG to get racing here. It's incredible to see JPEG racing here right now. Hopefully, they'll make some competitive times out here with now that they're more recovered than what we've seen last few weeks. So it's going to be a really interesting day for JPEG right here.
Yeah, and as you see here, Dirk, I was going to say, as we're looking at JPEG, Dirk has set at 133.0 and is still increasing right now, saying currently seeing the delta closing in at 4/10 faster than their personal best. So drivers are still going quick. Drivers are definitely still saying a time that they think will be going there, as well as Rico trying to finally set a representative lap time, currently 1.9 seconds down on the delta, but that's from a previous 135. So hopefully they'll be down in the 33s, and I think it's going to be a very close drive between all the drivers, as we see here. Dirk, I think let's start a lap here with Dirk as well coming down to turn 1. Hard braking into turn 1 here in braking at the 50-meter bar, turn in. Careful there on track limits, as I think Dirk just lost their track limits here, but I can still continue braking on turn 2 on the 50-meter bar hard. Make sure that you don't go too wide here, else you invalidate your lap time. And Dirk's still struggling with traction. Coming to turn 3 and turn 4. Keep it to the left side. Brake hard. Turn in. Hit the apex. Make sure you don't go too much inside going to grass, but you want to make sure you hit the apex as well. Going to turn 4, turn 5. Brake just right. Make sure you use all the track limits. Dirk is still got more to go, but you want to make sure you get a good run for turn 6. This long hairpin gets you a very long run coming to turn 7 and turn 8. Make sure you use all the track limits, or else you kind of lose a little bit of time, as we see here from the M drivers here. 7, 8, brake at the 50 bar, hard. Keep it on the inside though. Be patient on throttle. If you don't, you're gonna start to run wide, and if you run wide, you can invalidate your lap time. Pretty good run from here by Dirk. Turn 9, turn 10, brake halfway through the apexes for turn 10, and if you throw it just right, you'll get a good exit for turn 11. This is a small short straight on the inside before preparing you for turn 12. Turn 12 notoriously hard for a lot of drivers. Here, turn in. Clip the if you clip the sausage clip just like Dirk there, you're gonna get yourself launched. But some drivers are able to do it right. But for Dirk, that's going to be a struggle for them. But coming down to turn 13, turn 14, if you do it just right, you're gonna gain a lot of time coming down into the hill. But just then with Dirk having some issues at turn 12, invalidating their lap time. Hopefully they get a good run here for the next lap, but that's going to be a lap in Valencia. As you can see here, very technical. It's going to be a struggle for most of the drivers here because you guys see here, you basically have not much room for error as we see here, going out wide again just to get faster lap times. But yeah, that's not going to be a good strategy, especially in the race, because if you keep going out wide, they're going to get track limit warnings against track limit warning against track limit warnings, and it's going to get you a drive through. So hopefully drivers, start to get used to the track here, and hopefully get a good consistent race pace from all
I
this.
also I also want to point this out. Valencia was a very technical track, obviously very demanding on the tires. So I assume after that blistering lap, that set gave Dirk that what once was the provisional pole, his tires just kind of overheated, and right now they're just having trouble with the grip as of the moment. And as you see, Lappy having to face traffic. Currently, they are set to be in the provisional front row of the YAM class, just behind 1V.
Yeah, it's gonna
But
be
Lappy
interesting.
coming out, yep,
I was gonna
into
say that I had some issues. Sorry, just wanted to. Yeah, I thought I had some timing issues on my car, but apparently it's just the Ford being a Ford and Lappy. Still within track limits. I'm gonna get you back to what you were saying.
Oh yeah, I think Lappy is on an outlap considering their delta is way off. But oh, I think Lappy's going off. I think
He's gonna
if
park
if
it.
if I'm correct, yeah, that is going to be Lappy finished with the AM class qualifying. Hopefully, none of these AM drivers will steal P2 from them. But Durg, looking a bit on the charge, he is slightly there, but just a bit. But Durg just really having to pile on the pressure to try and steal the AM class front row from Lappy. These two really going at it over each other. In the AM championship previously, they were two of some of the prominent drivers in the front of the grid. And if I'm hearing correctly, the silver drivers are currently coming out for their qualifying laps as Durg and the others still piling on the pressure, but Dirk on their Delta not so good. They're currently 4 tenths down. I don't think they're going to be stealing any lap from Lappy. It looks like Dirk might have to settle for P3 so far. 1V, I think 1V safe for now. 1V only has Dirk who to pile on the threat, but so far, let's now focus on our silver drivers.
Well, as the drivers are slowly getting to a race start, I think drivers, especially the likes of Juan V and Dirk, are gonna try to work on having a good pit entry practice, given that they are gonna be, they are at the end of the race, but I'm not sure what the race control allows or not allow. Usually, for us as practice drivers, we just get in for a qualifying practice. But it is the end of the M cars run on the session, so hopefully they are able to get back into their pits as soon as possible. But as we see here, Ven out on qualifying, we still see drivers starting to single file, start to get their laps in Ven. And one of the prominent BMW drivers for Cabal Team Sports, as well as Z-Source as well. Both very fast drivers. They've been putting the lap in, trying to get themselves acquainted with how ACC drives, with how the electronics work. We've definitely seen, especially in the background with my time with them, they've been definitely improving a lot in terms of understanding how the car drives, how things drive, and it's we still have, not outside of Cabal Team Sports, outside of that, we still have a lot of drivers here as well. Vex, one of the faster drivers here in the BMW, as well as we see here. What do we have any other Blue E drivers for silver? Not much. As well as Kamiris. Kamiris is the second Blue E driver here in silver class. So definitely strong drivers here. Kamiris is also pretty fast. The last time I've raced with Kamiris, so Vex and Kamiris both gonna be strong in silver. Hopefully a good fight between the silver class, as we know historically silver class in Simufur really competitive. So hopefully this stays for this season.
Silver class indeed is the fine line between AMs and pros. This grid has continued to serve great battles, as you saw months back in the Semifor Silver Championship. We had Oily Rags versus Sosh duking it out for the title. And now both drivers, as far as I'm concerned, they're now pro class graduates. So it's interesting to see which of these silvers will continue on. and try to fight for top honors in this respective category.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see as well. As you know, speaking of uh silver class graduates, we are both silver class graduates, so we know the struggles of fighting just for that very win before we get thrown into the esports class or pro class. Because once you get into esports class, you're basically not fighting for wins at that point. You're just fighting for top tens, top fives, and even though I like fighting for top 10 and top fives, having a podium, having a trophy in your cabinet for Simstrada is definitely a fun thing to do. But for now, the silver drivers will definitely have to contend. As we see here, Swingley, the first to set a 131.6, as Leparcho, Electroshock, RS have set a time. Blade will set a respectable 132.7, but it's in the middle of the M class. They definitely have to get out of there if they could. Skylar today at 133.7, Zephyr they were at 134.3. Definitely more time to improve on the silver class, but we still have a few more that have not set a time. Van just set a time of a 132.6, so definitely more to come. And the last two are Cummers and Aspirit. Both drivers will need to set a time as they do coming down into cross the line. So pretty, as you can see here, the M drivers always being in between the silver drivers because they need to remind them that, once they're done in M class, they're going to be fighting with them. But will they be able to survive the entire race? I think that will be what really defines their ability to graduate from M class and go into silver class.
That is right. The AM class, again, the beginner class, this grid is very friendly to new upcoming rookies. So if you're interested in sim racing with us, if you want to go out and just drive a car here on ACC, joining the Simufur grid, you can go over to the Simufur Discord server. And while entries are fully booked here for the GT3 series, we still have more series to come for you guys. So be on the lookout and join the Simufur Discord when you can. But so far, it is Leparcho there setting a silver class provisional pole with a 131.4. That puts them 2/10 above Swingley and beating them in the top of the silver class standings, with Vex not too far behind.
Yeah, I think I've relegated into the silver class, given that's my best right now in this car is basically 131.5. So definitely very rapid silver class. Your Leparcho 131.4, as you just said. With the likes of Van just said 131.6. They're definitely not slouching as well. We definitely see a few drivers here below, trying to get below the sub 31.5, but they're all hanging just close by 131.6, 131.7. The drivers definitely need to pick up the pace, as we see here. Some of these drivers, silver class that were in between the M class, are starting to get away from the from the M class. Blade Wolf just had 132.2, gets them P6 for now. Aspirit they're 131.7. Skylar, even though previously they're 133.49, is already up by close to 4/10. And if that gives them right, that gets them into a 133.0. That gets them a little bit closer, but they definitely need more pace to make sure that they get away from the M class right now.
Yeah, while qualifying is one thing, I do want to point out one of the drivers here, Blade Wolf Kagakiyo, has consistently proven to be very good at racecraft. While their qualifying is not up there, they prove a lot in terms of racecraft. They are great in terms of defensive driving and just keeping their nose clean. And it's very interesting to see them racing in new colors, racing under RRP as of recently. So it's nice to see these drivers coming into different teams and different organizations, because Playbook back then was his own privateer at Lycan until he got this opportunity to race with RRP, which one of the big teams here in the Simufur grid.
Yeah, definitely nice to see Blade here. Having some team support. Previously, we've been driving with KVH Motorsports right before Blade has made their own team in like Motorsports. They still definitely have what you call it, JPEG under their wing, but for now, nice to see them in these good colors. And yeah, Blade, one of the old timers here. I won't say old; they're just one of the few that have been driving here for long. As it's if it's on the track, if you survey some of the few that have been here for long, if you ask who are the most annoying to defend, it's definitely gonna be Blade's one of them. I think I'm one of them because I park the bus a lot. But definitely the king on defense, definitely Blade, and even I get annoyed riding behind Blade. But Blade's always phenomenal in defending, always respectful, always nice to race and play around. So I really hope that Blake gets a good race here, and he's still holding the grid very well, given that he's driving the Aston Martin pretty strongly. The car here, not really the most favorites, but as you can hear, Swingley in the Bentley, actually Swingley in the Aston Martin did set a very good time here. So definitely a lot of potential, but it's just that, you just got to move on with it.
Yeah, I've got to agree with Bladeble's racing. That's why he was one of my benchmarks when I was a rookie here in Simufur. But so far, Swingley stealing pole position in the silver class by 5. I believe that is 500s. And there's Ven just sneaking in with 500s as well. This grid is just very close. I'd say the top 4 separated by less than a tenth. That's just impressive to see.
Yeah, the silver class is always that competitive, and I'm glad the silver class has never changed. It's always a headache for the admins as well as the stewards to just figure out who's gonna be in silver, who's gonna be in pro, because it's always a blend here, especially at the very tail end of pro. The tail end of pro class is always a year where you get a bunch of pro drivers that get demoted to silver class, and then a year later you get a bunch of silver class get promoted to pro class. It's definitely a teeter point, and I think it's all comes down to the fact that we qualify very fast, but some of the drivers just so much more experience. They get to stay alive for longer, and usually you get to see that their consistent race results lend them into the pro class, and some of them just like to have the badge on themselves because it really tells you how much experience they had, how much they have graduated from the silver class, and they definitely can be able to fight with amongst the pros just from being consistent, and that's going to be nice for them. And we have about a minute left. You see a 10-minute 40 as the clock ticks around. As you see here, the pros already lining up, getting ready to be on the front of the grid before they head out. So it's definitely going to be an interesting fight between the front runners here in a second. But for now, we'll see the last few laps from the few drivers here. And looking at the timing sheet, well, only Scarlett itself is trying to set a very big improvement as well, along with Camers with that has not set a time here. Skylar just set a 1 minute 32.2. So glad to see all the drivers here are well within the 32.2s. Unfortunately, Zephyr is still P14 within the grid, but Zephyr has parked it up because there's not much time here as the 10-minute mark starts to tick down to 1, and it's down to the pro drivers to get out and start for the silver drivers to start setting a lap before they get back into the pits.
And as you saw, Leparcho stole silver class pole by 600ths of a second to get that lap time at the last moments of this session. It's very crucial, and Parcho very lucky to have that opportunity to steal that top honors in their Take Gang Racing Ferrari. But as you said, the pros are also beginning to roll out. So we are going to be seeing what we expect to be the fastest times here in Valencia, and boy were they fast when we saw them in the practice session. I was seeing 30s, mid to low 30s if my memory serves me correctly. So these guys are going to go all out for sure.
Yeah, if you really expect anyone to go all, it's definitely the pros. The like of Cerebine, Castrol, Azure, they'll give it all. They'll use every last bit of track limits here. And I think we're gonna have a lap later on one of the pro drivers just to show you how the pros do it. And it's gonna be interesting to see the likes of the pros just pushing every single track limits as they could, grinding every last inch of the curve, just so they could have a go at it. I think Azure's the one going to be starting out the qualifying session. I think we're going to have a lap here with Azure. I think I'll maybe take it away, but if Suzuka wants to take it away, we can do it too. But I think let's go on board and see how things go with Azure on their qualifying lap here.
So the number 765 McLaren is charging on the main straight. It's not a long straight, Valencia. It's as you have to dab on the brakes coming into turn 1, a quick left-hander. Get as wide as possible. Don't stay outside the green stuff or else you'll break track limits. And it's hard braking into the second corner. A really tight hairpin. Go as wide as you can. Again, without breaking track limits into turn 3, which you take flat out before you break into 4. Long sweeping corners, this track is full of. Into turn 5, the McLaren just taking it easy despite the long wheelbase of the car. Into another long, tight left-hander of turn 6. And then it's power down into this back straight of Valencia. Coming down that left-hander kink of turn 7, braking into the sweeping mid-speed corner of turn 8. Put down the throttle. Don't break the track limits again. Really easy, as I said a lot of times. Turn 9 coming hard, breaking into turn 10. And into turn... That is just really tight into that hairpin. You have to get that exit right for optimum lap time. Now, go as wide as you can here. Dab on the brakes, turn right. Don't touch the sausage curve or you'll go wide into gravel. Azure's done that correctly. Into the long, sweeping left-hander penultimate corner and hard braking into the final corner. You have to get that corner entry really slow so you can have a fast exit for the main straight and put the power down. And Azure, what will this set them in the qualifying grid? That sets them at a 131.0.
Yeah, definitely a very fast time by Azure. And Arcade just set a faster time of 30.9. I was just gonna say it. Azure just did a very conservative time just to set a lap time on track right now. And the timing is just starting to light up. 131.9 from Arcade, 131.0 by Azure, 131.1 by the Nissan GTR of Cerebrine. So, you know, even though we see this as very fast times from the pros, it's still pretty slow for the pros in a relative sense. So drivers definitely still have more and more time to gain, as Azure's already 2/10 up from their previous lap time. So it's definitely gonna be, we're just gonna see the timing boards going slower and lower and lower. And that's what's the difference that you see here between the pros and the AMs. You basically just from just driving just on the tracks itself, you'll see them extending the track limits as much as possible, going onto the curves, making sure that they get as much exit. And you know, as you can see here, some drivers touch the sausage curve, some don't. I know the likes of Guayando, later you'll see them in the Mustang just ride the sausage curve as hard as possible just because the setup will do it. But for the McLaren, as we see here from Azure Good, that's definitely not the case, but they'll still set a very valid lap time, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do it.
The pro class, a mix of very experienced and very quick drivers alike. You and I can attest to that, both being in the pro class. Really doing whatever it takes to get top honors here in this Simufur grid. This Simufur GT3 championship, as you saw, is going to be interesting between Kestrel, Cerebine, Azure. A lot of drivers going for the top honors, as they're not too far apart from each other. Kestrel and MNU actually set a same lap time, and as I say that, Cerebine has stolen provisional pole for now, but these times are tumbling down really quickly. The track evolution has got to be helping with this as well. So these aren't the representative lap times just yet. We'll see those times tumbling down little by little.
I just want to give you a heads up. If you have noticed, P1 to P11, actually to P10, all within 5/10 of each other. So it's extremely competitive in terms of qualifying lap times here in Simufur. So definitely a grid to look out for. But Valencia, even though we have about 35 drivers here on the grid, it's a very small track. We are expecting chaos. We hopefully don't see as big of a chaos. We do have a drivers briefing to tell people to, you know, be mindful of incidents here when racing with us. So hopefully things go better. But as you see here, Castro coming down the last corner, will they get an improvement? They are 3/10 up from their previous lap time, hopefully not invalidated as they come into the pits. It's going to be a 1:30, hopefully 0.7, as they did with 30.762. So drivers definitely going faster and faster and faster as we've about 3 minutes remaining for qualifying.
Once again, it looks like it's Kestrel versus Cerebine, but I was interrupted by another lap time by Azure Go, which sends him to the front row. And there's RK stealing P3. So Cerebine has to put on the pressure if he wants to continue fighting at the front. But as we saw, their racecraft, very phenomenal. You know, they were very brave with that dive bomb on the last lap of the race last week in Red Bull Ring. So it's going to be interesting to see the trade-off between qualifying pace and race pace for these guys. But so far, everyone's qualifying pace has been very close, very razor thin.
Yeah, it's definitely too thin. P1 to P4, all within 1/10 of each other. So it's going to be a very strong fight at the front. It's going to be insane to see how insane they will go. But at the end of the day, remember as well, race, it's an hour. You're required to change your tires. You're required to refuel. You're not required to refuel, but if you're smart enough with your race strategy, you're going to have to refuel on your own. You're going to have to think about how much time you want to sacrifice on the track itself. But at the end of the day, with tire change as well, that's an immediate automatic 30-second pit stop window on yourself. So with pit stops in, with the ability to just carry less fuel, you might be able to do set qualifying laps, overlaps. But traffic here is a factor that I need to think about. The gap between P1 all the way to the last of the grid is about 4 seconds if you're looking at JPEG's time here on 134.9. So with 4 seconds, it's only about time you start to catch up to traffic. It's about how the pros manage to go around traffic. It's about how the rest of the grid gets to go around with traffic. And if you get a strategy right, you're gonna just win the race tonight.
And Cerubine just stole pole position once again with
Oh.
2 minutes remaining. The times are still tumbling down, but it looks like the times are just slowly going as is, because not a lot of people are setting personal bests at the moment, but that could just be the drivers keeping their best lap till last, because we still have approximately one qualifying lap for these guys to set pole position. This is really intense as we speak, because Cerubine just set a whopper of a lap time, 2/10 apart from the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's insane to see how drivers are just setting all those time as well. As you see here, a few drivers are in the green. We see most of the drivers are in the red right now, but time has there's still a minute remaining to this session, so everyone's pushing it as hard as they could through these corners, and some are just with how much pressure is mounting against you. Some just can't be able to hold it, and for some it's fine. Just gotta survive it. Just get on with it. Get themselves prepared for a race. But for some, as we see the likes of Cerubine, you just want a P1, because if you don't get P1 here, it's gonna be chaos for the race, and you want to make sure that you get away from the chaos as soon as possible. As 45 seconds remains on this session right now. Only Castrol here's about a tenth or two faster than their previous lap time. They're coming in and out of their delta. Right now they're on the negative. They just got back into the reds again, but definitely a lot of potential if they're able to wrangle that Lexus around. It's definitely interesting to see that the old timers, the Lexus, the Nissan, as well as the Bentleys, all strong here due to our BOP that we placed on these cars. But it's definitely nice to see them. But even though they are fast, will they be able to hold up with their tires later on in the race? We'll have to see later as qualifying starts. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's going to be the end of qualifying session, and whatever remains here is going to be the last of the few laps for the pro drivers.
I add, for the race in Valencia, it's a really tricky circuit to overtake in, so you really want to set the qualifying lap. And it looks like Cerubine so far with that pole position advantage, because not a lot of people are gaining on their personal best right now. As you see Kestrel coming onto the final corner, they're really close, but I don't think it's enough, as Kestrel puts the power down, and looks like Kestrel has to settle for the front row of this grid. And so far, it's Cerubine with pole position, Kestrel in the front row, and as I'm saying, Kestrel a bit opportunistic with those celebrations. But yeah, Cerubine and Kestrel sharing the front row, and Azure Goat right behind. Now Azure, might I add, a very aggressive driver, so we're expected to see how they will fight the two heavyweight GTR and Lexus ahead of them. The light British McLaren against the two sumos in this Simufur car grid.
Yeah, but you gotta remember as well, like that's right next to Azure is RK. So RK basically losing out last time around for a win at RBR due to some issues with traffic, but they definitely are still there. They definitely want to make sure. As we see, RK set a time, a P2 for 130.6. That knocks Castro down to P3. So definitely now, instead of Castro being in the fight with Sarah Bryant, RK is the one fighting with Sarah Bryant right now. So it's gonna be a Ferrari versus Nissan on the front row, but Lexus versus the McLaren on the second row, and it's gonna be interesting to see how these four drivers that are very close to each other usually fight out for the podium positions. Azure, these four will be definitely don't want to be the ones going to fourth. They definitely all want to be on the podium spot, so it's gonna be a very interesting race. But they have to remember as well, they don't win here on turn one. Whatever they do, keep it alive, because once they get pushed down, as you see here in RBR, you don't really get back up. So it's really make sure that just making sure losing a time a few seconds here and there is better than losing 30 seconds from just getting crashed out.
One point of worry coming from what I think of this grid is that Valencia, turn one is medium speed, but turn two, very, very low speed, because so you'll have a lot of concertina effect coming to play, and that might mean a lot of incidents, which hopefully none of these drivers will have to go through. But you'll never know. It's racing. These guys are on the limit, regardless of their pro, silver, or am. They want to fight for top honors, so they might go for an opportunity, but sometimes those opportunities might not be ideal, and it may cost them greatly. It may cost them damage, it may cost them running wide, whatever. But racing is all about these decisions, whether you stay calm and cool, collected on the opening lap, or just go all out and try and steal the lead from the first lap.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what these driver strategies are. But word of advice for the M drivers: please don't try to get anything too much on turn on the first lap, especially on turn two. That's where you get insane concertina effects that have incidents that happen in most races when the drivers, not just M drivers, any driver at the back of the grid, you don't have to go that far as well. Just being in top 10, in P10 or P11 itself, you'll see drivers start to brake early. Why? Because drivers in front are already on their braking points. If drivers in front are already at their braking point, everyone behind them has to compensate by the number of cars in front of them. And if they don't, they're gonna get caught out braking. They're gonna have to do an accidental dive, which sometimes might work out if everyone's behaving well. But if you take those advantages too much, you might get yourself into incidents, and you don't want that, because you would really benefit from just staying in whatever positions you are and just continue on the race, then getting pushed back to the very end with damage, might I add, that will affect your race.
Yeah, I sure do hope some of our drivers are listening to this broadcast right now. So, because it's really important that we get together in one piece, especially in a very tricky technical track like Valencia, as the grid has started to line up. And I believe that we will be getting on our grid walk today, right now. So it's Cerubine, that number 57 Blue E Nissan GTR, stealing pole position, starting alongside the Tig Gang Racing Ferrari of RK. What a nice steal from to take them in the front row in the last moments of this qualifying session. Starting behind them in the second row, we have Kestrel, another favorite for the win in the number 46 Lexus, starting alongside RRP's Azure Goat. Now, Azure has been a pretty aggressive driver, so we're expecting to see some opportunistic moves right in the race start. Coming into the third row, we have MNU from Cabal Sim Sports, starting alongside the number 54 Tig Gang car of Denak. P7 and P8 is occupied by another Cabal car, that is Giondo for the number 84 Mustang, starting alongside Bushel in number 69. Nice short racing Porsche. Completing our top 10, we have Saber Kitsune in the number 523 ARF Racing Mustang. And completing off our top 10 is number 47 Tig Gang Ferrari of Parcho. Starting P11 and P12, we have the Garage 42 of Randomy in the number 6. And and P12 is the number 15 Tig Gang Porsche of Vossi. P13, P14, we have Zzors, the leader of Cabal Sim Sports, here in the number 286, starting alongside the number 324 Tig Gang Racing Ferrari of Taichi. P15 and P16 occupied by number 275 for Garage 42 Swingley, starting alongside the number 64 Cabal BMW of Ven. P7 and P18 right now being occupied by S Spirit for Cabal, and P18's Blue E BMW Newt. Completing out the top 20 is P19 is Vex for number 22 Blue E BMW, and a Aston Martin, the number 406 of RAS. P21 and P22 are occupied by Blade Wolf and Dipping Sauce for Blue E and Blade Wolf for RIP. P23 and P24, we have Camirs in the McLaren. The number 97 starts alongside the number 75 Tig Gang of Electroshocks. P25 and P26, we have Skylar in the number 660, starting alongside Juan V for Cabal. P27, P28, occupied by RRP's Lappy and Blue E's Derg. P29, P30, we have Oily Rags and Rico. And then P31, P32, we have Zephyr for RRP. We have Wolfen for Blue E. P33 and P34 is occupied by Jinful for Blue E and JPEG Fox. And completing our grid is the Blue E Academy car of CASP.
Thanks, Suzuka, and definitely a very, very full grid as you can see here. So drivers are going to be needing to start to get onto track, as I think we need to start to reset our view for this race start. So I hope we are able to do that. For drivers though, definitely interesting to see that we have a very, very full grid. 35 cars. Luckily, we are able to finish the grid walk in time for the pace lap, but are you excited for the race start? Because I am very excited for the race start.
Oh, so am I. Hopefully we can get this round started for once and not have as much technical problems in the server side so that we can actually have these results planted and for us to analyze these for your entertainment's sake. Anyway, Sarabine's leading the grid. It's a very packed grid. We have 35 drivers right now with us and they're just taking their time trying to warm up the tires, trying to warm up those brakes, trying to make sure everything is in race trim. But none of them weaving because they're using the brakes to warm up the tires. They don't want to scrub those rubber.
Yeah, definitely a weird. Definitely not. You see drivers usually weave here and there. It's up to how the drivers actually weave that gets you the scrubbing of the tires. Actually, if you have a good understanding of not to turn too much on warming up, you might get a warm tire without the scrubbing that you expect. But then you ask the question of why am I weaving then? You might as well just hold the brakes, warm up the tires without putting much damage to the tires, and that will get you a good run as well as a good stint for your pit stop, because we have a 30-minute about 30-minute pit window. Usually a 20-minute pit window between 10 minutes before the halfway mark and 10 minutes after the halfway mark. So drivers are required to pit as drivers start to go single file. It's about time we start the race, and they're going to come into the last corner. I think let Suzuka take it away for the start of round 1 again for the 6th season of Simufur's GT3 Championship.
Yeah, hopefully we can get this season started as Sarabine and RK lead the grid coming into turn 1. It is the Ferrari, not necessarily the best car when it comes to race starts, but let's see what RK can do with that Ferrari, or what can Sarabine do with that GTR as they wait for the green light. And I believe that we are soon. It's pedal to the metal. Here we go. Sarabine has a clean start. Kestrel coming alongside RK. Sarabine looking clean and safe as they head into turn 1. And it's safe. And Sarabine leading the race. A bit of contact between Azure and the Bentley of, I believe that is MNU. That's Azure going wide. That is not going to be good for them as RK wrapping around the outside of Sarabine, trying to get the move done, but it hasn't happened quite yet. Sarabine leads the race. RK has overtaken Kestrel for the opening lap.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting start of the race. We do see some exclamation marks, but we know that the drivers are just shuffling around, making sure that they are able to get into the race pace. Door banging might happen. You might see some drivers basically making small mistakes, but for now, strong driving by Sarabine, strong driving by RK. Castro right behind them as well. They're definitely gonna let Sarabine run away. They definitely have to think about either they're gonna fight for the position or they're gonna work around just to draft, get a little bit of draft, maybe get some sort of teamwork going on just to make sure Sarabine doesn't run away. And the grids are trying to slowly follow down single file as you see here. And the one that loses the most is Azure. We're not sure where Azure went, but for now, definitely it's nice to see that they are strong racing for the first lap.
Sarabine trying to run away as much as possible. RK struggling out at the moment as Kestrel is slowly coming back onto them. Now that small Ferrari having to contend with these giants. You have the GTR, the Lexus, the Bentley. Imagine being such a small car and you have to contest with these larger, more heftier GT3 cars. But so far, it's Sarabine leading with quite a margin, with RK under threat from Kestrel right now. Kestrel holding on behind Take Gang Ferrari quite nicely, trying to find the opportunity. It's really tricky to overtake here in Valencia, but again, Kestrel trying to keep his nose right behind the rear end of that Ferrari to find RK cracking under pressure or to find an overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, with how tight the grid is right now, everyone's within a second of each other, and everyone just holding on, making sure that they keep enough pressure to make sure that they just get any sort of opportunity. S1 runs wide, S1 just loses in an exit, because at the end of the day, any sort of things help. As we see here at the back here, Danek gonna have a move on MNU, two tenths behind them, but will that be able to do it? Maybe not. Actually, no, just enough. Close driving from the two of the MNU definitely has to pick up the pace, just so they could stay within the toe of the cars in front, and as well as just get rid of Danek behind them. If not, Danek's gonna have a good toe on the final lap, on the front straight, and that's gonna be not the best thing for MNU. And they definitely have a better exit here. Will they be able to get away from them trying to turn 12? Not really. They're still gonna have Danek close to them as they continue to fight on.
With how much of a train we're having right now, look, that is quite a long train I'm seeing on my track map, and I'm starting to believe that people are going to be relying more on their pit strategies than overtaking on track, because it's really tricky to make a move right here in Valencia. A lot of sweeping corners, not a lot of overtaking opportunities for these guys. So I think on their minds right now, they're just trying to stay behind the slipstream train and try and make a good pit stop, because that's crucial, especially in a circuit like this. But so far, it is peaceful. It's serene. It is it is very behaved from all these drivers as compared to last time we were out on the Red Bull Ring. Really
Yeah,
great to see that train coming up in form.
yeah, as we see here, so I just noticed where Azure is. Azure is right now currently down in P24, currently slowly get back out there. Hopefully they're able to catch back up. But Goyando currently hard attack on Washer here, coming closely, lightly gonna make an overtake here, 2 tenths behind Washer. Washer's definitely slowly showing that they're definitely lacking a little bit of pace here, but if they're able to get a overtake down, as you see here, the Mustang right behind at the back of Washer, definitely the cork in the ball here, so that Goyando definitely has to make a move here, while Saber is gonna have a move on them in the Mustang as well. As you see here, coming down into the last few corners, turn 13, turn 14, turn 12, turn 13, I mean, but coming down to turn 14. They definitely have a better top speed, but the Porsche showing again that they are very good on the power. Will Goyando have a good run here, as we see here coming down into the back straight? No, they do not. They have a good acceleration, but only the Mustang will have a good top speed. That will get them to close in further in, but if they don't have a good exit here, will they be able to make it on the inside? Thinks about it. Oh, actually tries to make a move. Nope, stays behind it, coming down to turn 1. They definitely have to think about diving in on the likes of turn 2, or else I think I have a feeling that Saber's gonna have a move on them. But for now, oh, so close, coming down to the hairpin. They definitely have more to go, but I think we're gonna have to see this fight getting closer and closer as time goes on.
Right now, Wushel is breaking the pack. It's now Cerbine and Wushel leading different trains, as we see right here. So Wushel really, as you said, the cork in the bottle in this grid. Gayando, Saber, and I believe that is Parcho
The
want to
Pacho.
come. That is Parcho who wants to come past, but that Porsche's acceleration is just making it really tedious for these guys to get past.
Yeah, it's surprising to me that the Mustang is doing a better job on the brakes than the Porsche. Porsche definitely struggling a little bit, likely through to setup or just the experience that we have here. But it's interesting to see that the Porsche is good on acceleration, but the Mustang is just bad on the brakes. So it's gonna be a bit of a timing game for the Mustang. As you see, you're coming to turn 12, barely missing it. I think they definitely know that they have the better exit speed. They definitely have to time it right. Or else you see here, as Saber going to go side by side with Goyando. Will they able to defend it hard? They do as they come into turn 14. So they have to think about it properly. What they want to do as Saber goes out wide, that is going to be a track limits warning for Saber. But for them, it's going to be strong and into deciding who's going to have a good run. But that might just get Saber into a fight with Laparcho. It might take advantage of it coming to turn 1. No, they do not. They're going to shuffle back into the train and, work on it. Vossi, the next train behind Taichi Yagami here, and it's for P11 as well. So definitely a few cars and a few trains that we see here coming out of the timing sheet. So it's going to be interesting to see who is the one that's going to have a good run between all of them.
Might I add, for Parcho's race, keep in mind he is a silver class driver, so essentially Saber is not his race. In fact, the next silver class driver, Ven, is quite a long distance. So Parcho finding himself in a safe haven, but again, I think Parcho's thinking that Saber's slowing him down a bit too much, so he might want he might want to get past. I'm not sure. It's up to these guys to sort each other out. But Parcho for now staying right behind Saber.
Yeah, I think Ven's also taking it easy as well. If you're looking at the lap times itself, Ven on their last lap as well as the best lap, both are pretty strong in these corners. It's definitely the fact that Ven is now stuck behind Tai Chi, stuck behind Vossi, stuck behind Renami before they can think about going back to fight with the Porcho. But for now, I think Ven's also taking it slow, realizing that you can't really overtake here and you can't really force an overtake unless Porcho starts to get away with Poyando and Saber. That's when Ven has to really get a move on. But for now, Vossi definitely another cork in the bottle, and they definitely have to figure stuff out because the drivers of Ven as well as Newt both now currently side by side. The BMWs don't have much of a top speed in this track, but as you hear Newt trying to make a move on Ven, will that stick? Will Newt just put it on the inside? As for now, no, they do not. Coming in for turn one, definitely a compromise run from Newt, so definitely have to think about what they want to do in strategy. And Ven stays in P13 for now, but they definitely have to get a move on to get rid of Newt that's behind them.
Really, really calm race so far from these guys. I haven't seen any aggressive overtakes or aggressive driving overall from these guys besides the opening lap. So it's great to see everyone trying to form that train, trying to help cooperate with each other and give each other the slipstream so that they can help each other get faster, because that's one way to get ahead of the grid. It's working with the drivers around you, trying to take their toe. It's a little bit like NASCAR. You want the draft so that you have top speed and you're still within their schedule.
Yeah, it's nice to see that drivers are thinking about cooperation, or maybe just the fact that given that Valencia is such a demanding track, they don't really have a choice. They just have to be in the toe, regardless if they wanted to or not, because of how it's very one-lined and it's how insane that stuff is. It's gonna be insane to see how drivers just figure stuff out, as we see here. Azure 89 P21 3 positions within 10 minutes of the race, so definitely slowly climbing it back up. They'll be really annoyed to not be able to fight for a position up top, but they are trying to slowly sell things down in this race as they slowly climb back up into the race.
Here is Blade Wolf coming down the inside of Aras. Can he get the move done? That's a brave. They make contact. They go argy-bargy, but they're still pointing the right way, and that's a little bit sketchy from Blade Wolf. But oh my goodness, Oil Rags almost into the rear end of Aras. But yeah, that was a bit sketchy from Blade Wolf. But I think Oily Rags has got past Aras as well as trying to take advantage of those scraps. The Sharks are eating the leftovers from the battle between Blade Wolf and Aras. That contact just dropping Aras down like a stone. Aras going wide once again. That allows Camirs through the McLaren, the Blue E McLaren, right behind the slipstream of that Aston Martin. Can Camirs get the move done down the inside? Thinks better of it. No, I think
no, that's gonna happen.
They're side to side. Aras and Camirs side to side, but Camirs thinks better of it. Tries to fight another time. They think better. They think they should stay behind for now. Try to find a cleaner opportunity.
Yeah, I think Aras is just at this point overdriving the car as well, given how heated they will be from having a Blade Wolf just basically barging in. They definitely will not be happy about it, and the fact that Oily Rags as well as Camirs both realizing that they have to take the opportunity right then, right there. They had to make it work. They had to stick it in there, and Aras just cracking under pressure. But glad to see them regaining their composure. Tell them, no, this is my spot. It's up to Camirs to find a different way to get past, and definitely not the way that Blade Wolf has done it. So definitely interesting to see how things have happened from the drivers between the two of them.
We have a teammate battle here between Vossi and Taichi. The Tig Gang Porsche and Tig Gang Ferrari have been on each other's noses and rear ends for quite a while now, but looks like Taichi is pulling away now. Anyways.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see that Taichi has done an overtake on Vossi. So it's going to be a small back and forth. Not sure if that's going to be a thing that will affect the drivers or not. But for now, Ven is getting a little bit held back by the two of them. Not too much though, as the train is still there. It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers will behave
There's
You know,
drama in
try
the
to come.
leaders to the
Oh,
front pack. That's Cerebine. That's a big off between Cerebine, RK, and we
oh
do
my
have
God.
a code 50 right now. I wonder what happened there. As we should cycle back, we should look over at Cerebine's perspective because it happened on their end. As we
Yeah, it's
wait for
gonna
the
be interesting
replays.
to see how things go. But for now, it's definitely interesting to see that through all of this, MNU has gone up into P1 in the standings here. Definitely not the best move by all of them. RK now in P7. That's going to be unfortunate for all of them though. As we see a Castro in P3. Not sure if they're going to have to return that position back with Denak, given that they did that move under the yellow. So it's going to be interesting to see how those will end up. With currently the standings, we'll see that MNU, Cerebrine, Danak, Castro, Wushel, all pretty interesting drivers to see. So glad to see that drivers are getting prepared. You know, the full course yellow is just to make sure that things go around. I think yellow flags have been removed given that they are currently on race pace. So definitely glad to see that everything has been neutralized. But RK P7 right now slowly has to climb back up for positions. That's going to be unfortunate, but for them, the one that does not lose the most is going to be Cerebrine, still in P2.
I believe it's because of backmarker traffic. From what I saw, there was the portion of cast. Maybe there was miscommunication between teammate and academy driver, but we'll have to wait for the replays to see what happened. But for now, Cerebine is bogged down back in second place.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things happen with the two of them. But right now, the ones that benefit the most is MNU currently holding out the fort for Cerebrine. I got a feeling that that's not going to hold up for long given how fast Cerebrine is. But MNU is going to give it their all in the Bentley. The Bentley definitely more pretty compliant here. But given that I have done some setup talks with Cerebrine, they definitely have tried to delve in their setup here in Valencia this time around. So it's going to be interesting to see how the setup differences between Cabal Simsport as well as the likes of Blue E is going to affect the driving, because at the end of the day, you have a pit window here, and it's all about how you're going to make sure that you don't bleed off your tires here. We are required to change your tires, so you know, tire degradation, not too much to worry about, but you still have graining, you still have flat spots, and you definitely do not want to overheat your tires, because any sort of degradation here will affect how you drive, and you definitely don't want to bleed any sort of lap time across your entire stint. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers perform in the next 10 minutes or so, 20 minutes or so, until the pit window starts to open up.
And MNU taking advantage of all the incidents right now. But for now, MNU is in the lead of the race, but Cerebine still trying to chase his tail, trying to recover momentum that they lost from that incident. Now, I think this will go to the stewards, that is for sure, but it's going to be a tough call. But at the moment, we're still fixing the camera work right now, but for now we can say that confidently that it's still MNU with the lead of the race, and
We do
and we
have,
do we do have another code 50 right now.
yeah,
That's
by
Newt.
randomly.
It looks like Newt and Randomy coming together. So unfortunate case for them.
Yeah, we just see a bunch of drivers just gain positions, and randomly has fallen down to P23. So definitely interesting, and definitely nice to see uh it's definitely nice to see that drivers are getting slowly getting into a rhythm here, and it's nice to see that the code fit is actually working for the driver itself. We understand that we are showing we are having technical difficulties and trying to get back what we have on the grid right now. So, but it's nice to see that drivers, you know, we have code 50s to get everything sorted out, get everything situated. It's good to see that it's not, you know, a very long safety car. It's just for us to get, you know, make sure every drivers get back on pace, that there's no incidents on track itself that will cause drivers to just hit each other on track. But with systems like this, with the fact that we have the support from our stewards, from our admins, as well as all our staffs here, that we make this possible. So thank you everyone for making it possible as we're back here coming down into ACC. And you know, it's nice to see that drivers are still coming to race here, as we see side by side from the likes of Saber, as well as I think that's RK moving for a P6. So RK definitely trying to get a rush in for the race, but Saber is still fighting for that position, and definitely does not want. Actually, that's Koyando. No, that's Blue E. We're back into Cerebine. So pretty close driving from the rest of them.
with the
Oh wait,
tires starting to wear out, it's starting to get a bit hectic, and I wonder what happened to MNU. MNU's dropped back. It's now Cerebine with the lead once again, and
and Danak
now it's Denak
P2.
trailing right behind. A lot of chaos has happened in the mid pack, in the front pack, everywhere. So I assume that it's due to the tires dying off right now, and it's just the loss of grip is not helping everyone here. Everyone's going argy-bargy on each other right now.
Yeah, it's definitely very tight for these drivers right here as they continue to fight for positions, and definitely MNU is not gonna be happy that they lost P1, but they're gonna still be fighting strong as Castro right now in the Lexus Sky P4. Definitely the quieter driver this time around compared to their first time in RBR, but still holding strong within two of them. RK right now in P6, they have to get away from him, or else RK is gonna be slowly coming in as they're just behind Wosho in P5. They don't have much positions left to fight for. Guayanda though, right far away now in P7, definitely has to catch back up just to get the back of Wosho, just to get the P5 back for them. If not, Wosho's gonna be strong in P5 with that Porsche.
Again with that incident, that's just juggled the field right now. MNU finding themselves in the battle, the lead, but then losing it right now. Right now they're P3 trying to defend from Kestrel, but another driver to take advantage of this whole ordeal is Denak in that Tegang Ferrari. Again, a small Ferrari amongst a whole deal of giants right here. Tegang Racing Ferrari of Denak defending from MNU and Kestrel, trying to make that car as wide as it can be. But for now, MNU and Kestrel are compliant on the rear end of that Tegang Ferrari.
Yeah, I think definitely have to think about it. I mean, you're extending track limits a little bit here and there. Definitely has to be careful because at the end of the day, we do have you do get a drive through if things go south, and that I think that Saber just trying to get again cracking under pressure. They're now down into P11, so definitely not the best run for them. Definitely slowly dropping in positions. Not sure if that's due to cracking under pressure or the fact that they're just slightly struggling from the restarts here and their Van here making a move on Taichi though. Would that stick side by side coming in the straight? Oh, the two of them, they touch a little bit, but they stay alive here. Coming in the back straight, who gets the better run? That's definitely the BMW compared to Ferrari. The Ferrari's gonna slow back a bit, but they slot in. Taichi those too slow as well, and Saber's gonna have a move on them. The faster top end speed. Will Saber make a move? Yes, they will. Taichi's gonna be falling back 2 positions here, and both of them within track limits, and Ven takes the move for P9.
Parcho actually, but yeah, Parcho dropping like a stone. They are under threat from Dipping Sauce right now, who look down the inside. Parcho is really dropping right now, and right behind them now is their teammate, the number 15 Tegang Porsche of Vossi, as the two go side to side. And as I say that, pit window is now open, so everyone can come into the pit lane for a fresh set of tires and another splash of fuel, but I don't think anyone will want to pit this early, especially with how degrading the track is on the tires. So maybe they'll wait it out until the halfway mark. Maybe they'll come in a bit later, but right now it's hectic coming up here into the pit window.
Yeah, it's and looking at the phenomenon right now, it's basically like karting as well. Everyone is in for every single fight that you have. Any sort of mistakes, everyone's just hounding in you like sharks just to get that position. And if you don't keep yourself composed and you don't block off any sort of opportunities that people get, this is what happens. You just fall off like a stone, even if you like it or not. Castro though, coming in super early. Not sure if that's a strategy to go for that, given that you have 40 minutes meaning and you need more fuel, and the fact that you will be coming out in traffic. As a front runner, you do not want to come out of traffic. It's already a pain just to get any sort of move here done. And if you're just going to compromise everyone's time here, and they won't be moving away from you for you as well. You're not under blue flags. You're going to be a lap down from everyone just because you're in the pit lane. And that's going to be interesting for the drivers here as they slowly come into the pits. Will Castro get a good pit stop though? That's gonna be have yet to see. Hopefully they get a good pit stop. Hopefully they have practiced that pit stop. Any sort of seconds lost here, as we see Azure coming in for a pit as well. Both drivers getting an early pit stop though. Not sure the best move, but hopefully get a good strategy, and it's gonna be an interesting race to the very end.
As you saw, the average time you lose in a pit stop is 62 seconds. But might I add about the cars, historically, from what I'm hearing, the Lexus not the best on its tires, so very bold call for Kestrel to be pitting this early. As soon as they'll come out, they'll approximately have like 35, 36 minutes on, as yeah, Kestrel coming out right now, 37 minutes on those tires, so it's a tough ask to keep that Lexus in bay. As you see Wushel coming down the inside of MNU right now. Wushel trying to steal the podium positions, putting the power down that Porsche. That's just allowed RK to go through as well. But MNU coming into pit lane for their pit stop.
Yeah, I think the start of the race might have some graining caused by the drivers. Those drivers are trying to get in for the pits. Not sure as to doubt it's the best strategy, but drivers will know what's happening in their cars. They will take a good stop. But just to give you some statistics that we see here, Azure did 36-second pit stop. That just means they have damage to repair. That's gonna hinder their run for the front. But with the repairs fixed, hopefully they get back to the race pace. But these long pit times will affect their ability to have a good climb. Blade Wolf as well, I think from the fight with Oras, did a 49-second pit stop though. I think a few drivers are starting to pit in, and with that, we see different varying times of time in the pit stop itself from entry to exit. This is going to affect their standings as they start to shuffle back onto the onto the exit of turn 1, and that is going to affect their race coming down with the remaining 36 minutes remaining of this race.
Right now, Wushel hounding on behind Taegang Ferrari of RK. That Porsche just really aggressive. As you saw, it tried to steal podium position from MNU, but RK ended up being the victor in that spoil. But right now, Wushel not giving up. That short racing Porsche is relentless and wants to go for podium positions. And it's right in front of her right now with RK coming in tow. And not at the moment, they haven't served their pit stop. I think they're going long as they can here. But right now, Wushel's trying to stay calm behind the slipstream of RK, trying to find the opportunity to pounce.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how each strategy plays out. Wushel definitely wants to stay behind them because the Porsche does not have a good top speed. If you look at statistics right now, Wushel, the driver to look at right now, has a top speed of 249, actually on the same par as Arcane's in front in the Ferrari. So both will be able to benefit from towing each other. So definitely Wushel's going to be interesting to see. There's Cerebrine in the Nissan setting a 252 top speed, but if you look at the other cars such as MNU in the Bentley, as well as the other faster cars as well, the fastest top speed right now is Castrol in the Lexus with a blistering 258 k's down the front straight. So it's definitely a car that you'll see here making very big moves on the front straight, though that's only happening if you get a good exit. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see that the slower cars will try to get as much tow as possible before they go for the pits. But for the rest, they don't care. They're just going to get pit in and they're just going to run on their own lap after lap after lap. And that's going to be interesting to see how these drivers will fare at the end of after everyone pits for their stints.
Before the opening phase, we did see a train. Right now, that grid is absolutely scattered. There's lots of dots wherever you go on our track map.
Oh,
but
no.
as we pan into the battle of the Mustangs between Saber and Dipping Sauce, the Blue E Mustang holding that, but Saber coming into the pit lane. I thought he was holding him in bay, but Saber decided to come in for their pit stop with 35 minutes to go.
I got some news for you. Unfortunately, MNU has to pit in a second time. They're in the pits again. Not sure what has happened for MNU, but that's gonna put them down very far. They're now 32. They're now 27 grids down position. Not sure what has happened from the from the Bentley. Not sure if there's any configurations that they have not set, but that is gonna be annoying for the Bentley because they had a fight for positions, but they're now gone. They have 2 pit stop counts on their time, and that's gonna be annoying for them because they just wasted it all. It's gonna be a very long run for them, but that's basically podium gone for them.
That has got to be for tires. They probably forgot to put on tires. And as we saw earlier, we saw Cerebrine in the pit lane. Hopefully that's a scheduled stop. And right now, they are rolling out of pit lane. And Kestrel's on the main straight. It's going to be a tough battle between these two as they head out into pit lane. Can Kestrel get the lead? Not quite. Cerebrine remains leader of this race.
Yeah, it's nice to see that Cerebrine is still holding it strong though. But for now, for the two of them, they're still at the back. right now P1 is held by Danak, but remember that Danak has not pitted. Danak, RK, Wushel, Taichi, actually a lot of drivers have not pitted. So looking at the ones that have pitted, Cerebrine still holding strong
Danak's
in front of
coming
Kestrel.
in.
Oi,
And
just
that
in
was
time.
rather sketchy pit entry from Danak. Hopefully, they were under the 50 km/h speed limit, or else that would be a hefty penalty that will cost them. That could potentially cost them the lead of this race. But right now, looking at this battle for the lead, Cerebine pulling away from Kestrel has lap traffic ahead in the form of a teammate. That is Wolfen in their BMW. Hopefully, they're a bit more compliant than last time, but I assume that Cerebine won't have too much trouble with lap traffic for now.
Yeah, for now, I think as we slowly get, as they started to catch up to a different lap traffic right now, that it will be the likes of who's that in front of them. I think that's gonna be Wolfen in the BMW, as we just talked about. Then they might come to the pits. Yep, just to get away from them. As Wolfen hopefully gets into the pits nicely. That is a very nice pit stop. So pretty safe entry for them. So glad to see that drivers are taking it a little bit safer. We don't want to get a stop code 30 for speed in the pit lanes. That's gonna take a long time to clear. But yeah, a clear traffic in front of Cerebrine is what they wish for, and Kestrel's gonna be hard on their tail just to get, some sort of move just to get revenge. Oh my god, that's Danak in front of them.
That's Danak with an overcut on Cerebine and Kestrel. But right now, Danak has to contest with cold tires. And these two hounding on the rear end. It's going to be really tough for the number 54 Tig Gang Ferrari to warm up those tires and maintain the lead of the race, because Cerebine in that GTR just hounding on the rear end, trying to find the slipstream and trying to find an opportunity to overtake. Cerebine going down the inside, not quite. Danak holding that line, defending as much as he can, but Cerebine getting much closer and closer to the Ferrari. I think that Cerebine conceding for now, trying to find the better exit for this corner. But so far, Danak's got it right.
Yeah, they got it right for now, but you can see here two very strong powerhouses behind them. So Danak has to get a good run on turn 14, or else it's going to be a very easy swallow by the two of them just to get rid of the Ferrari, because the Ferrari has a little bit struggle on the top end speed, but that's basically it though. They need a good run, and Cerebine just pushing a little bit too wide there on the track limits. Hopefully they don't get a warning for it, but I think now Cerebine's going to have a good move right down here side by side, the two of them. I think that's going to work out because it's going to work out because they had a good run and down the inside, and yes, we can see here Cerebine taking P1 for now, and Danak has to fight it off for Kestrel.
Yeah, it's Danak with the over-under, though, on Cerebine on the inside line. Cerebine wraps around the outside. Danak, what a beautiful move from the Ferrari. Great racing from these two as they continue to battle it out for the lead of the race. Right now, this battle is spicing up. It was relatively tame on the first part, but right now we have Danak versus Cerebine versus Kestrel.
Yeah, it's going to be a very long fight for the last 30 minutes here. Danak's definitely feeling the pressure here as the car slides around left and right here. But as you can see here, the two behind them as well, RK as well as Wushel, just far away from the three of them. So they definitely have a lot more time to fight around. But they can't fight too much, or else Wushel's going to be right behind them, having a very strong move just to get in front. But for now, it's going to be a very nice fight between the two of them. Wushel and RK both separately on their own for now, but as time goes on, they definitely want to settle out their differences right before the final lap.
9 minutes to go for the pit window to end. I don't think a lot of our drivers have come in for a pit stop just yet, but right now it looks like it's Danak with the lead and Cerebine and Kestrel coming in tow. Now Cerebine with the top speed at GTR once again. Can it help him once more? Can he go down the inside? Saves it for later. Not quite. Forces Danak into the inside line. Going for the over-under. Not quite. But here comes Kestrel on the inside of Cerebine. Cerebine tries to close it up, but Kestrel stealing P3 down the inside of Danak. They touch. They make contact. Cerebine and... No, wait. Kestrel and Danak wheel to wheel. And Cerebine again going for the move down the inside. It's going to be tight between these three, but Cerebine dropping down into P3. Kestrel taking advantage of Cerebine trying to make an opportunistic move.
Yeah, definitely not a approving move from the Lexus, but it has made a stake. The two of them now definitely are not happy, and they definitely want to make sure that they can try to maybe silently work together to make things happen. But for now, Casual being the bad guy here, trying to make things work when they shouldn't be. This is gonna be strong fight between the three of them. But if they do anything wrong, though, RK and Wushel behind them, as RK just made a move on Wushel, it's gonna be slowly having a good long spectating moment with them, and if they have any sort of moments, it's gonna be the two of them that's gonna take advantage of all this.
Taking into account the drivers that haven't pitted yet, this is definitely the battle for the lead, because I believe that Taichi, Ven, Dipping Sauce, and Electroshocks have yet to serve a pit stop with 7 minutes to go. As we see the Mustang of Dipping Sauce right there in the slipstream of Ven, they're going for the strategy. They're going for the long game when it comes to the strategy. As we pan back into the main battle for the lead, it's getting hectic, and that's Kestrel and Denak making contact, but Cerebine on the inside. And will they steal P2 back? Yes, they will. Cerebine making that move stick for them, and Kestrel a little bit tap on the back, but Cerebine's still pointing the right way around. My goodness.
Yeah, definitely a very long fight. Casual here, I think, slowing down just to realize that they have to cool it off. But Arcade here so far basically caught up between all of them because of all the fighting. They definitely have to figure out what they are doing because of all this fighting. They definitely have pushed the grid basically back onto them. Arcade just not spending any time with with holding back, and Arcade already trying to make a move on Casual, but Casual calls it just right. But if the Lexus anything to go by, they're gonna lose the Ferrari on the straight. So it's definitely interesting to see how things go. But for now, Casual has to slowly defend it just so that they could get RK away from the back.
Danek right now being the massive cork in the ball of this battle for the lead, as RK and Wushel close in to try and take some of the spoils here. This is not only a battle for the win of the race, this is a battle for podium positions, crucial positions for this championship battle. And right now it's going in the hands of Denak, who will take an early championship lead for the start of this race.
Yeah, it's definitely very early, with 25 minutes remaining into this race, so a long ways to go. Drivers need to think about maybe not fight too much for it, because if you keep fighting for it, you're gonna lose your tire grip, you're gonna lose a lot of issues as Dipping Sauce starts getting into the pit lane. So it's gonna be very, very, very interesting to see how these drivers, work things out. And Arcade definitely does not want to work things out. They definitely want to get rid of Castro as soon as possible, but the Lexus just shows that they have too much power in their hands, and they definitely, with the good exit, they definitely can run away from Arcade. But Arcade definitely, with the better downforce, the Ferrari 296, a very downforce heavy car, is definitely going to hang on to Castro as much as possible. They only lose it on the backstretch, as you see here, coming down into the hairpin, already closing in, but you're going to see them lose again coming to turn 7, turn 8. I think that's going to be a constant problem for them, as well as just fighting for traffic. I think that's JPEG Fox getting away from the lap traffic. So it's going to be a very long and hard fight for the next 25 minutes.
Wait, that is Cerebine who took the lead from Denak in the race. So I wonder what happened right here. As if we do have a replay, that will pan out eventually. But Cerebine stole the lead from Denak in the race and has returned to the P1 position that he once lost.
Yeah, definitely a very hard time for Cerebine. Cerebine's GTR, even though they are not the most agile around corners, I know for a fact Cerebine is very confident in the brakes on the GTR through different hard setup changes that they had, as well as the fact they're just getting accustomed to the GTR itself as well. It's pretty strong on the brakes. We've seen Cerebine giving it hard, sending it on Castro on RBR, and definitely did the same move here in with Danak in Valencia. So it's nice to see there as lap traffic being in the way. Unfortunate timing for the lap traffic, but they did nothing wrong. They tried to get away as much as possible, and it's just unfortunate for Castro as well as Arcade just to get in getting involved in that kind of situation.
Now that Cerebine has popped the cork in the bottle, Cerebine now has the freedom to run away. He has consistently been the fastest man on track. That has been proven with how much they've stuck onto the rear end of Denak until eventually making an overtake. Now Denak will have to fight not only Kestrel, but potentially this could be a teammate battle between the two Tig Gang Ferraris, orange and yellow. signifying both RK and Denak.
It's going to be interesting to fight between all of them. Oh, Arcade coming in as well as Castro. Just different types of lines here as we see here. Drivers fighting for the top 4 positions. So it's going to be... We hopefully we don't see any issues coming out for these drivers, but it's RK just following Castro, but the Ferrari definitely does not follow the lines that the Lexus takes here. Coming out too wide, drivers need to be careful as well. Going to the gravel too much will bleed the pressures out of the tires, and you definitely do not want to lose any sort of grip here, given how much you rely on the tires here. So pressures are very important. Make sure that you don't bleed out your tires, because in ACC, going into the gravel will make you lose tire pressure just from the fact that you're just transitioning a lot from the very soft gravel to the very hard tarmac, and that's going to be interesting for the drivers here as drivers slowly getting held up by Dang again. It's going to be a scene. It's going to be a occurring scene for us as Danak just holds up Castro, holds up RK. They definitely have to plan things out. Not sure if Danak is going to have a team orders to maybe get Castro closer to RK, but this is definitely working out for the T-Gang Racing drivers, for the both of them.
Yeah, but you have to think in Danak's perspective, because you have the chance to fight for the win right here. Even though Cerebine passed you again, you could possibly get past Cerebine once more if things go your way. But for now, Cerebine is running away. So if you're in the perspective of Danak, would you help out your teammate or continue to hold on and potentially try to find a opportunity to steal the win once more?
I definitely won't help out my teammate. At the end of the day, I feel like, in my perspective, if I was Danik, Shadowbine is definitely gone. And with that, unless I'm fast enough to catch up to Shadowbine, and I will definitely try to do as much as possible, but given that Castro is faster than me, I'll try to defend as much as I could, just so I could push RK closer to Castro, and just naturally let Castro just have a fight with RK. Because at the end of the day, both of them are fighting for positions, and because RK is kind of slowly pulling behind from the fact that the Ferrari is not really the strongest car here, with this BOP setup, as we see a Castro already on the back of Danak, they might just naturally have a fight, and you don't have to worry too much about it. You just need to keep driving, just stay in your lane, and hopefully Castro does not give a very horrendous send on you.
Right now, Cerebine, yeah, as you said, Cerebine running away right now, so the thought for as I'm interrupted, there's Arcade trying to go for a move on the outside of Kestrel. Can he get the move done? Trying to turn that into an over-under, not quite. But RK still sticking in the slipstream, trying to find more opportunities. But once again, that opportunity's faded, and RK has to settle with staying in the rear end of that Lexus.
Yeah, definitely a annoying sign for Arcade. They definitely can go faster, but they're basically stuck behind Casual because of power differences and how the cars behave. They definitely have to think about what to do and to think about what has happened, as pit lane is now closed. Pit window is now closed. Pit lane is still open for any driver that needs repairs. So it's going to be interesting to see that. As we see lap traffic, Casual though gets spooked by Arcade. They were hiding on the inside. Arcade though almost had a run, but gets blocked off by Koyando. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers slowly settle their differences and get onto it. But Arcade recovered really well and just kept Casual kept it really well, as we see here. RK still behind Casual, and they're slowly, building it back up and trying to get back up to the back of Danak again.
I do want to add that the pit window has been closed, so whoever has to serve a pit lane right now who hasn't served their pit lane yet, will have to face a very hefty penalty. If I'm right, that will put you down one lap compared to the rest of the field. But right now, the battle is focused ahead because Danak has run away, but so far it's Kestrel under threat from RK still. So Danak right now continuing the fight. Danak has found an advantage with all the lap traffic that Cerebine has to face. Cerebine not doing really well with the lap traffic, as we saw in the opening stage. They did have an accident with their academy teammate. But for now, Cerebine with the lead. And as we look back into this battle, Wushel has joined this fight for P3. This battle for the final podium places between Kestrel, RK, and Wushel herself. As Kestrel, yeah, cutting deep on that curb, not gonna be good for the lap time. And RK going around the outside. Oh my, Kestrel blocking just a bit, slowing down RK and putting him into the path of Wushel.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the Lexus going on two wheels. You gotta remember though, to get all the grip, all tires must be on track itself, just to make sure you get all the rubber that you have paid for to be on to be using to give you grip. But for now, definitely Castro still running ahead. Bushel though, right now trying to get some opportunities on RK. That might happen, that might not. But for now, Castro still holding on for dear life. Will those tires last though for the next remaining 17 seconds with how much they have been abusing them? I think we'll still have time to see, but they definitely have to sort themselves out. Need to maybe relax a little bit, think about their driving style, make sure they don't light up the rears as much. Even though it's a very front-heavy car, with and also the track has a lot of corners, some drivers prefer to use the throttle to rotate their car, and that's going to be a very interesting strategy for them, and that might affect their ability to to have their tire life last longer than they want to. But for now, still Castro strong, defending in front. RK has to make a move. Will that happen or not? I think time will tell in the next 16 minutes as they try to.
Yeah, as you say, you have a point there, Nick. Kestrel, if I am right, is actually one of the very first drivers to serve their mandatory pit stop in the pit window, so they'll definitely have the weaker tires compared to RK. And Wushel, RK really deep. That's gonna compromise their move, and through goes Wushel, trying to take advantage. The Ferrari and Porsche side to side, but the Ferrari top speed just helping it just a little bit, but Wushel has the inside line coming into turn one. Can Wushel get the move on? Thinks better of it. Stays in the slipstream of RK.
Yeah, that's going to be annoying for RK or Wushel going white, though that's not going to be beneficial for the two of them. But Wushel thinks better of it, thinks for the safety of the entire race. And Taichi here trying to make a move in P6, but it's going to be, every part of TGR is trying to make a move just to get any sort of positions. And it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers behave in this race.
Another player has joined the lobby. This battle for P4 this P3 right now, spicing up even more and more. We have a four-way right now for the podium positions between Kestrel, RK, Wushel, and now Taichi. Two Tig Gang cars, one short racing car, and one privateer.
Yeah, it's gonna be annoying for some of the drivers here and fun for some of the drivers. Kestrel obviously having the most fun out of all this, the most stressful driver among all of them, trying to just hold on to everyone, trying to get past them. But it's gonna be fun for them as well, pushing that loud, not just annoying. There's nothing annoying about the Lexus. It is loud. It is it's much a symphony as the V6 just roaring, coming out into the front straight here in Valencia, though. Track limits. These drivers need to think about track limits, though. Pushing it so hard, it's going to be interesting to see who has track limit warnings remaining, or else you're going to get a drive-through, and you do not want to get a drive-through here. That's going to fall you down the grid faster than anything else outside of a stop-go 30. So drivers need to really think about what they want to do, and also just save some of the track cuts, because when you're fighting, you're bound to get some track cut limits warnings, and that's going to be beneficial for you just to stay alive.
That is a valid point, Nick, you have there. The track limits here in Valencia very, very harsh. So you do not want to be breaking the track limits, or else you'll be facing a drive-through.
Oh my god,
goodness!
track.
That was a close call. But Cass coming out almost having trouble with the drivers out there. But for now, everything is in symphony. But here is RK looking on the inside of that Lexus. Will Kestrel defend? Not quite, but it's enough. But Kestrel still gets past still. RK still trying to find a way right behind. Wushel and Taichi coming in tow. And we have a code 50 right now.
It's going to be annoying for the drivers here, though. Code 50, I think that's what the car is trying to recover. Glad to see that everyone's, not too much of an issue. So we'll slowly get things back into going again. We have the likes of, I think that's Skyler as well as Cass in the pits. Not sure if they have a collision or not, but drivers slowly, have time to reset everything, to slowly, have a good time, relax for a bit, let the tires cool down a little bit, because you want this time to basically cool down the tires from pushing so hard. But that will be a problem as well. If you cool down the tires too much, that will cause you to grain. And it's actually not something that some of the drivers will want, because if you grain too much, that's going to be annoying for some of the drivers.
As the code 50 clears out, it's still Cerobine out in the lead. But has that spiced up that battle for P3? Let's look behind, because it's looking hectic on my track map right now. The Lexus of Kestrel with a lot of drivers right behind them. That is Wushel, RK, and Taichi going at it all out over each other. Wushel right behind. I mean, that is RK right on the rear end of that Porsche, but Wushel pulling out just fine. Wushel having to deal with two Ting Gang cars, the two Tigers. Tigers duking it out side to side. This is not helpful for their fight with Wushel. That's just gonna drop them further down as Wushel runs away while these two battle it out.
Yeah, it's gonna be Wushel getting the benefits of the Code 50 being released, and the Porsche just strong on acceleration basically has caused RK to fall back, and Taichi definitely not really thinking about caring too much about the team standings right now, caring about what they stand right now, and just trying to have a fight with RK. But at the end of the day, you gotta remember as well, there's not really much of a team championship here, so drivers definitely do not really have a team order to freely follow around. So definitely, it's all about having these players. At the end of the day, we all right now are fighting for individual driver position, and with RK definitely a little bit annoyed at the teammate, but it's definitely, it is our business. We all have to do it. RK is definitely now shaking off Taichi and restart. Definitely wants to catch back up to Wushel up in P4.
I do want to point out that while we do have an unofficial team championship between teams that have at least two drivers, so it's a little fun between the teams. This is what I like, the little fun games that we have behind the scenes, This unofficial teams championship with Blue E, Tig Gang, Cabal, whichever team has at least two drivers, they're eligible for that team's championship. So it's great to see that morale between each team in the Simufur grid.
Yeah, I think the one that will lose out the most this time around, unfortunately, will be from Cabal's team sports. We see the likes of Z-Source, MNU. There's not a few drivers actually. We see the likes of Z-Source, Spirit, as well as MNU, Auras, Skyler, all have two stops. I think that's one problem that I think we didn't realize. Drivers forget to put in the fuel. This is not anything. You do not have all the fuel function here. I think some of the drivers, yes, you did get your pit stop for your tires. No, you did not get pit stop for your fuel, and that's gonna be annoying for some of the drivers, because that means you come in for refuel, and that is gonna be detrimental. And Call Swing Sports, one of the teams that just basically forgot to set pit strategy, and that's gonna be something they have to learn coming into the next race. But for now, strong driving from Blue E, TGR gang, as well as just some of the privateers here. TGR strongest right now with P2, P5, P6. All the TGR cars are in front, and basically we don't see any other and one Blue E driver in front. So for team championships, definitely TGR winning out here in terms of strategy, and glad to see that everyone's just pushing it as we come here. 10 minutes remaining into this race, so not much time left for drivers to continue on. As we see here, another MNU back into the pits again. Why are they back into the pits again?
Most likely a drive-through, I assume, but I am not sure. But anyway, we have 10 minutes to go right here. But MNU losing a lot of positions from what I can assume is a drive-through, letting the Mustang pass. I assume that is, I don't know who that is. That might be Guyando. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I actually forgot what I was saying, but
Yeah, it's Guyando.
Yeah, but right now, Kestrel, Wushel looking really close right now. Kestrel trying to defend the inside, going around the outside. Wushel, a bit of oversteer. That's not going to help their traction game as RK and Taichi come in close. They are really on each other's rear ends right now as Taichi goes around the outside of RK. The two Ting Gang teammates really going for it. But right now, they're holding position. It's really hectic out there, but for now, it's Kestrel's defending, but Wushel down the inside! Can she get the move done? Yes, she can. She has the inside line, but does she have the advantage? They touch a bit coming into the kink. Kestrel going for the overrunner. Wushel goes wide, and through goes Kestrel and Ting and RK and Taichi. What a move between these three. Wushel losing out by going wide on the gravel trap.
Yeah, definitely the contact at the start of turn 12 definitely not beneficial for all of them involved. Castro though, even though getting annoyed by the hit, definitely has their revenge, a little bit of karma from having a little bit of a contact. I don't think that's really intentional by Wushel, but that's definitely have shown that definitely spooked Wushel a little bit, and that has especially put Wushel down into P6. But for now, they still have 8 minutes to fight for this position. They definitely have to figure out what to do here. If Castro is able to make RK and Taichi have a little bit of score, Wushel's gonna have a move again, and that's gonna be interesting to see how all these 4 drivers fight for the last position on the podium.
Kestrel is a wall right now, keeping these 3 in bay for the final podium positions. Arcade trying his best, try as he might. Kestrel is putting on an impressive defensive masterclass out here. Even with the worn tires, even with having to have those tires shredded, Kestrel still holding on by a thread and doing so sufficiently, doing so optimally. Great job from the number 46 Lexus.
Yeah, definitely a little bit argy-bargy from all the drivers involved, but it's still respectful racing. We didn't try to take out each other out. It is racing after all, so glad to see all of them going as much as you can. See the Skylar in the Honda in off the track again, so definitely something they have to work on. Definitely, I think the curb on the inside definitely has caught a lot of drivers out in this track alone, but yeah, the Lexus, as you see here, just strong here on the straights. They can't catch up at all until they got into Sector 2 and Sector 3, and by the time they catch up, it will back in Sector 1 again, and that's gonna be a run from the Lexus. As you see here, RK so far away from the Lexus here, but will catch up as they start to close in, and it's gonna be the thing for all of them. They're gonna lose out on the back straight and slowly catch back up as they come through the corners.
Right now, the straight line, the main straights are what's keeping Kestrel in bay because Kestrel putting in all that power, just running away from the field, but then in the technical bits, RK and the gang are all coming up behind him, and that is Kestrel having poor traction. That is RK around the outside, but the top speed of the Lexus keeping him under bay. RK trying to wrap around the outside, going for the over-under. RK on the inside line, they're side to side. Can he get the move done?
No,
not quite. The power of the Lexus just keeping Kestrel ahead from the rest of these guys, but RK looking much tighter than Kestrel. Kestrel really having trouble with the tires. RK using as much of the grip as he can in that Ferrari, but Kestrel, with all the grunt of that V8 Lexus motor, just running away with it.
Yeah, correction, that's a V6 in Lexus, but it sounds just so amazing on track. But we have 5 minutes to go. That's basically 3 laps remaining that RK has to hold onto just to win, just to get the last podium positions. And this fight is gonna heat up as RK just wants to give it everything they got, especially as they start to know that when is the time to overtake. So they definitely have to think about it, just slowly time it just right, because they do know they have a better exit. But as you see it, Taichi giving a move on RK. Will that stick? They are side by side coming down to turn 4, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. Will that stick? I think Taichi's gonna make it sit. No, RK is not having any of it. This is gonna have a problem for their podium positions, but Taichi is not giving up as well. So they're all fighting for P4 now instead of fighting for P3. So and Taichi gets hit off, as well as Wushel. A bit of argy-bargy for all of them. Taichi losing it all? No, but still fights for positions. Wushel might have a cut back here, does not stays. Oh my, that's going to be a track limits warning for Wushel, but they're going to continue fighting on for positions here as RK basically just fights, just detaches from Taichi from the back there.
These two going argy-bargy. It's just helping Kestrel make things much easier for him. He does not have to stress as much of his tires as he would have if RK and Taichi stayed compliant. But this is the competition that RK and Taichi want. They want these top positions. They are both doing whatever it takes to get on top of each other, might I say. As Wushel going for the over-under, very close from the Porsche. Taichi blocking a little bit, but that just disoriented Wushel a bit. And with less than 4 minutes to go, I think this race is almost about to conclude. But as we see battles in the backfield, this is for the lead of the silver class. This is Ven versus Parcho. The BMW coming into the main straight. Can he get it into turn 1? Not quite. Ven saving it for later. Is this going to be the move into turn 2? Not quite. I don't think Ven is that close to the Ferrari of Parcho. Parcho holding on quite nicely to that silver class lead. But right now, he has Ven all over his mirrors.
Yeah, not for long though. Van definitely has the potential to be faster. The last lap, Parcho did a 32.6, but Van still holding on with a 31.8. Very strong driving from Van. If they keep that delta up, and if they know when to have a good run on the Parcho, as they see here coming down almost side by side, as they still do onto the hairpin. They are close to RG Bargy, closing in on each other on back straight. Van's trying to make a move. Will that stick? Coming down into turn 7, turn 8 might be possible on the brakes. No, they're still side by side on the brakes. Vendo has the bear move, and that's a move done by for the Cabal Sim Sports driver on TGR. But will Leparcho be able to answer that? I don't think that's possible, and that's Van taking a lead for the silver champ.
What a move from Ven for Cabal Sim Sports in that BMW, getting the job done and getting ahead of Parcho for the silver class lead. But for now, we look back at this battle for P3 because Kestrel still running away with it, but Taichi and RK continuing to hound on the rear end of that Lexus. Kestrel holding on quite nicely still, but they do have lap traffic right ahead of them that will disorient them in their efforts to try and steal that podium position.
Who was that on the side? That's the lap traffic, but the drivers here still holding up strong. Oh, what's that? Electroshocks. What has happened?
I have no idea. They're slow on the final corner, so must be a spin out, an incident. I'm not sure, but that's cost them a lot of position. That actually moves Camus and Vex up a spot. Let's see what happened to Electroshocks. I don't think that's
possible.
Unfortunately, that is the live feed. But as we pan back into this battle for the final podium position, it's getting really hectic between these guys. Kestrel is holding on, but RK really...
Yeah, it's all right. We'll try to think about it, but RK is still close fight between Kestrel as well. As you see here, get back into positions. Kestrel though, not much time for RK to make a move, so it's important for Kestrel just holding on. Last lap of this this race, so it's gonna be interesting to see where things end up.
One more lap to go for the leaders, and it's Cerobine with a comfortable lead for now. But all eyes are on the final podium position. Who will come out on P3? Will it be Kestrel? Will it be RK? Will it be Taichi? Or possibly Wushel? But Wushel a bit too far back. RK with an exit going wide. That is a bit sketchy, going off the track to gain an advantage. But there is RK. That is RK going around the outside, but Kestrel putting the power down. RK having the inside line, and that is RK stealing the final podium position. But that's not all. It's that Taichi going around the inside of Kestrel. Yes, it is. They go argy-bargy, and it's Taichi for P4, and Kestrel has to settle for P5. But the two Tin Gang cars going side to side. They touch. They make contact. That's not gonna help their efforts. And RK continuing on in the lead, but Kestrel continuing to fight on. That was brave effort from Taichi, but oh no! They make contact! It's massive Armageddon! The two teammates coming into each other, and that is Kestrel back in the lead for P3, and through goes Wushel on the inside of Arcade. There's a lot of archie-barchie going on. Take this away, Nick. I can't.
Your voice is going away, but we see here Kestrel still strong on P3 here, but RK and Wushel side by side. Definitely a opportunity for Wushel, but unfortunately RK just held it up just well. Unfortunately for the two of them, they're both TGR cars, just wrong lines for the two of them, but unfortunately that Taichi just lost it for that, and Cerobine gets P1. Denex finishes the race in P2, but Kestrel, the strong defender, finishing it out in P3, and RK P4, Wushel P5, and that's going to be Taichi getting into P6. Guayando tries to get it for P7, but that's not going to happen for the drivers. And with that, we get drivers of P8, Saber coming down P8, Ven P9, Parcho P10. Drivers slowly coming into the grid as we see here. P10, 11 settled for Vasi. P12 dipping in the Mustang. Solid drive for them as well as we see here the rest as well. Azure pretty strong start for qualifying, but unfortunately now in P13 in the 765 McLaren here. Newt, P14. Things start to at least have a breathing here. Come here, P15. Vex gonna end up in P16. Electroshocks in the last TGR car, I think. In P17, Swingley coming in G42 for P19, randomly in P18, P19 for the two G42 drivers as well. Juan V, the AM winner for this time around. Juan V in Cabal Suarez in P20, Blade Wolf in the Aston Martin coming down in P21, Aspirit having to pit twice in the Bentley in P22, Zzors coming down in P23. Some of the few drivers that have pitted twice are slowly coming down as well. And the last drivers coming in will be RS as well as Oily Rex for P25. So great driving for all of them, and that's gonna be round one of the Simufur GT3's championship, a second round one. So how was your view on this race here, Suzuka?
What a phenomenal race. That was absolute cinema for the final podium positions. All that drama, all that argy-bargy action. That was just intense. That literally had me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, it's definitely a fight and a half, and I think it's glad to see the drivers kept it on track. Definitely glad to see that we do not have insane code 50s, but there are a lot of incidents that the series will have to review just because of how insane that race was, with the likes of how hard Castro was defending, how some of the overtakes were happening. Some drivers basically forgot they had to refuel, and it's gonna be interesting to see how these incidents will affect their results in the other race.
that that was very impressive racing from everyone. Kestrel holding out for the final P3 position, and that was just
You need a break.
intense.
You definitely need a
Yeah.
break from your voice. So, but yeah, it's definitely a race to review for sure. It's gonna be very, very noisy in the driver's chat in a bit. But if you did enjoy, I'm gonna help you close out this time around. If you did enjoy what you're doing, that we see here, be sure to give us a like. Be sure to give us feedback in the comments or in our Discord server as well. We definitely, as the commentary team, enjoy any sort of feedback, constructive feedback that we can get from how we can improve, how we can make sure things go smoothly. And if you want to join us in terms of just the community of Simufur itself or any of our races here, Simufur, this championship is currently full, but you can get on the queue for any sort of incidents, any sort of positions should anyone sign out. But we do have a rally championship on as well. So if you're into rallying, you want to join us as well, you can do that as well. But we also have events in iRacing and maybe other events as well, but they are usually hosted by other people in the community. So if you really want to join us in Simufur as a community, the Discord channel is right in the description below. You can definitely join us. But for now, we are here in round one again in Simufur GT3 Championship. This has been Newbie. Suzuka's right next to me. Anything you want to say, Suzuka, before we round off?
Again, see you guys in the next week of for we are round 2 in the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And again, join the Simufur Discord. If you want to be part of this grid, if you want to join and race with the others, go ahead, go sign up on the Simufur Discord. But at the moment, GT3 series fully booked. But maybe you'll get a spot. Who knows? Anyways, that will conclude what I have to say about this race.
Yeah, it's been fun. So I think with all that, this is us in Simufur signing off. Thank you, Mike, for doing the broadcasting for us. We always forget to credit our broadcaster. Mike has been wonderful with our broadcasting, making sure that things run in the background. Thank you, Suzuka, for having to being with in this commentary booth with me. And this is gonna be Simufur signing off for tonight. And we'll see you actually not next week. Next week will not be happening. We'll be having it on the 16th for the Nürburgring 24. So that's going to be a fun race to look around. So be sure to join us back on the 16th, and we'll see you guys next time. Good night.
See you in next 2 weeks.